Hello friends, today in the subject of applied thermodynamics, we are going to see reciprocating compressor. In today's video, we will see the reciprocating compressor single stage and without any clearance. So let's start today's video. Now the reciprocating compressor in a basic construction wise, it is similar to our IC engine. But the difference is that in IC engine, there are four processes: suction, compression, power, and exhaust. But in reciprocating compressor, there are two processes: suction, that is the intake of air, and compression. Only two processes. So, as we know that IC engine having two kind of operations, either four stroke or two stroke. Same in a compressor, there might be a single acting. That means only one side of piston is delivering air, or double acting. That means two side of piston delivering air. That means when piston moves upward, it having a one delivery. So bottom side there will be a suction. When piston moves downward, then there will be a delivery on bottom side and suction will be on top side. So double acting. Now here the basic construction wise, there is a intake passage from where we uh, suck that atmospheric air. So normally intake is at a atmospheric pressure. P1 is always atmospheric pressure. Then there is an intake valve. As soon as piston moving down, that means negative pressure created inside the cylinder. That time this valve get open and atmospheric air is taken in the cylinder, and this is continued till piston reach to PDC. When piston start moving upward direction, the intake valve will be closed. Delivery valve is normally spring loaded valves, which uh, uh, spring tension is fixed as per the delivery pressure required. So when piston moving upward, it is going to compress the entrapped air and pressure rises. When pressure reach to the delivery pressure, then it will lift this delivery valve and that compressed high pressure air will be delivered out. And it might be stored in a storage tank or it is directly used for uh, application purpose. So this is our reciprocating compressor. But whatever be the assumptions, there are some assumptions made during derivation of its work and all the numericals and formulas. And those assumptions are the air, which is the actual working fluid, is behave like a perfect gas. It is assumed it is behaving like a perfect gas. That means it is following the ideal gas equation, PV is equal to mRT. But in actual case, air behave like a real gas. Now, second assumption is there is no any clearance volume. It is assumed. No any clearance volume. That means when piston move upward, so it top head of piston is touching the head of cylinder. So when it is exactly at TDC, the piston top will touches the cylinder top. That's when there is no clearance. Whatever be the air suck inside the cylinder, completely deliver out. But this is assumptions because in practical, it is not possible. As your compressor run, it get heated, and once it heated, piston and cylinder walls and everything get little bit expanded. So maintaining zero clearance or no clearance is practically not possible. So, but this is assumed there is no clearance. Next assumption is friction losses are negligible. So consider as zero friction power loss. That means we are assuming there is a perfect lubrication and power is not used to overcome any kind of friction. Friction in between piston and cylinder, friction in between this rotating shaft and bearings and all the moving parts. But it is assumed because in actual there is always some friction and some power is lost to overcome that friction. Next assumption is there are no wire drawing effect in the wall or pipeline. Wire drawing effect is always there. During suction, the intake passage is more than when wall is open. So all that intake passage volume is drawn through this small opening of wall. So wire drawing operation is there. And during delivery also, the inside cylinder volume is more when it is delivered through this delivery small opening wall. So there is a drawing effect. But it is assumed it is not there. And another last assumption is there is a not heat addition or rejection from cylinder. So cylinder is well insulated. It is also assumed. But in practice, if we run any compressor, after some time we observe that the cylinder or that compressor get heated. That means heat is transferred to the wall and from wall it is dissipated to the air. Or in many applications, we provide a cooling water, cooling medium to cool down the compressor. So these are the assumptions. Now we will see single stage compressor. Single stage compressor means when we compresses air from intake pressure to delivery pressure in a one step, then it is called a single stage compressor. So this is a PV diagram of single stage compressor where intake pressure is P1. So obviously it is atmospheric pressure and delivery pressure is P2. Piston is at zero, that means it is exactly at top dead center and piston top is touching to cylinder top, cylinder head top. That means there is zero clearance. As soon as piston moving towards BDC, so negative pressure will be there, volume goes on increasing, and due to that, outside atmospheric air will suck inside the cylinder, and this is continue till piston reach to point 1. That's when it is BDC. When piston reach to point 1, the total cylinder volume is filled with atmospheric air, and it is assumed that the suction will take place at atmospheric pressure. So this is actual suction stroke which is assumed at taken place at atmospheric pressure. Then after intake valve get closed, then piston start moving towards again TDC, but this time when piston start moving towards TDC, so entrap air pressure will rises. That means compression take place and pressure will rises in the entrap air. So pressure will rise continuously till pressure reach to delivery pressure. This is P2 is the delivery pressure. That means piston moves from BDC towards TDC. Meanwhile, somewhere it reached delivery pressure. As soon as it reached to delivery pressure, then after there will be no any rise in the air pressure because when it reach to delivery pressure, delivery valve get open. Then further movement of piston will push out this compressed air to the cylinder. That means it is just displacing that compressed air. So once air reach to delivery pressure, after that delivery valve get open and further any movement of piston will displace that compressed air and it will deliver through delivery valve. and it might be stored in any storage device or directly used for the application. Now there are three choices. Either your compression will be adiabatic, or it is also called as isentropic, when your index, compression index is gamma. Gamma having a value 1.4. So when compression process follow PV raised to the power gamma equals to constant, that means isentropic process, then it will reach to 0.2. After that, it will displace this compress here. If we anyhow maintain its temperature constant during compression, so we follow this blue color line, that is PV equals to constant. That means isothermal process. What is the compression index here? So it is compression index is 1. So it is nothing but PV raised to the power 1 equals to constant. PV raised to the power gamma equals to constant is a adiabatic or isentropic process. Gamma having a value 1.4. If it is isothermal process, then the power index is 1. But we know that adiabatic or isentropic process practically not possible. At the same time, isothermal process is also not practically possible. So practically possible process is a polytropic process. So we always get a practical possible process compression, that is this red line. This is a polytropic compression and its index is n. So PV raised to the power n is equals to constant. So always remember, when n value lie in between 1 and 1.4, then that is the polytropic process. If it is exact 1, then it is isothermal. If it is exact 1.4, then it is isentropic. But in between 1 and 1.4, then the process of compression is the polytropic process. Now, if I try to draw on TS diagram, temperature versus entropy diagram, so adiabatic process, there is no any change in entropy. So we are compressing air from P1 pressure line to P2 pressure line. Intake condition is 1. When we compressing this adiabatically or isentropically, so there will be no entropy change, constant entropy. So we get a vertical line from pressure P1 to pressure P2. So this is 1 to 2 is our isentropic compression. If we maintaining same temperature throughout the compressor, that means we are following isothermal process. So our compression pressure changes from P1 line to P2 line, but temperature remains same. So we get 1 to 2 double dash. This is our compression process, isothermal compression. But both are not possible. We always get mean value of these two processes. So this is our polytropic process, where PV raised to the power n is constant and we reach from pressure P1 to P2, and our curve or process will follow 1 to 2 dash. Now from this graph, the net work done means the exact area under this curve. So if we follow isentropic process, our total area will be more. If we follow isothermal process, our total area will be least. So it means that if we can maintain isothermal compression, then it required a minimum work done for compression. Compressor is a work absorbing device. IC engine is a work producing device. So minimum work required when we compress air by isothermal process. Maximum is required when we compress with isentropic process. Now we will see the different work done when we are compressing air, isothermal compression. That time we will follow this curve 1 to 2 double dash, and our process is PV equals to 1. PV equals to 1, that means PV raised to the power 1. Compression index is 1. Now the net work done is nothing but this black shaded area. This is the net work done. But how to calculate? So the isothermal work done, net work done, will be the area under the curve 0, 1, 2, double dash 3. That means 0, 1, 2, double dash 3. This shaded area. But during calculation, what we have to do? We have to divide this total area. So net work done will be work done during compression. Compression curve is 1 to 2 dash. So this much area will be there, 1 to 2 dash. So work under this curve, this much area. Second, plus this rectangular. So area of a rectangle, this vertical rectangle will be height multiplied by width. Height is calculating from this x-axis. So height is P2 and width is V2 double dash. And in last, we have to so our second rectangle will be this. So we have to add these two area. So this will use total work. And in this, if we subtract this bottom horizontal rectangular area, then we get net work done. So that means to calculate the net work done, we have to consider area under this curve, then area under this particular rectangle minus area of this horizontal rectangle. So isothermal net work done is P1 V1 ln of V1 upon V2 dash. This is our work done under this isothermal process plus vertical rectangle, that is P2 V2 double dash, and minus horizontal rectangle P1 V1. So when we do all these calculations, so we get an exact net work done by isothermal process compression. Now for process 1 to 2 dash, 2 double dash, we know that general gas equation is P1 V1 upon T1 must be equal to P2 V2 double dash T2. From this, if isothermal process is that, so T1 must be equal to T2. If both are same, that means P1 V1 must be equal to P2 V2 double dash. It means we can replace either P2 V2 double dash by P1 V1, or P1 V1 can be replaced by P2 V2 double dash. So we are replacing the value here. So now plus P1 V1 minus P1 V1 gets cancelled. So net work done when the compressing air with isothermal process, our formula is P1 V1 ln of V1 upon V2 double dash. But volume, after compression, we don't know the volume. Before compression, we don't know the volume. So most probably we prefer to have a formula on basis of pressure or temperature rather than volume. So we have to replace this volume ratio. We know that P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2 because isothermal process is that. So on volume basis, if we rearrange it, so V1 upon V2 double dash will be P2 upon P1. So we can replace in terms of pressure ratio. So our net work done in terms of pressure ratio will be P1 V1 ln of P2 upon P1. But many times they provide a data regarding mass flow rate and temperature. That time we have to change this P1 V1 in MRT1. So we can replace P1 V1 by MRT1. Our isothermal work done, net work done will be MRT1 ln of P2 upon P1. If initial condition are given, then we can write P1 V1 ln of P2 upon P1. This is our isothermal work done. Next, isotropic compression. Suppose we are compressing air with a polytropic compression. So we will have this curve, compression curve. 0 to 1 is a suction at constant atmospheric pressure or suction pressure. Then 1 to 2 dash is our polytropic compression. Then 2 to 3 is a delivery. Okay. In this also, if we are going to calculate a net work done, so net work done will be the area under 0, 1, 2 dash 3, this black shaded area. Now, how to calculate? So we have to consider first this whole area under the curve 1, 2 dash plus this vertical rectangle 2 dash to 3, this vertical rectangle, and minus this bottom empty horizontal rectangle. Then we get a net work done. So area under the curve, if it is a polytropic process, we know that is P2 V2 dash minus P1 V1 divided by n minus 1. N is a polytropic index plus vertical rectangle P2 V2 dash minus horizontal rectangle P1 V1. Now LCM. So we are putting these two terms in a brackets. So here P2 V2 dash minus P1 V1 dash, this is a one bracket plus n minus 1 after LCM P2 V2 dash minus P1 V1. So these two brackets are same. So we can take as a common. So if this bracket is a common P2 V2 dash minus P1 V1, so we get 1 plus n minus 1 upon n minus 1. If we remove this bracket, so it means 1 plus n minus 1. So plus 1 minus 1 get cancelled. So finally we obtain n upon n minus 1 P2 V2 dash minus P1 V1. If we know the suction and delivery condition in terms of mass flow rate and temperature, then P1 V1 can be replaced by MRT1 and P2 V2 dash can be replaced by MRT2. So we can replace P1 V1 and P2 V2 dash in terms of MRT temperatures. So here, if I taken out MRT1 as a common, so there will be a temperature ratio T2 upon T1 minus 1. So right now we have this equation n upon n minus 1 MRT1 T2 upon T1 minus 1. For this MRT1, we can replace P1 V1 also. Now we are going to change the temperature ratio. We know that for process 1 to 2 dash polytropic process, P1 V1 upon T1 general equation is equal to P2 V2 dash upon T2. Now temperature ratio T2 upon T1, so rearrange all these things, so we get two brackets. First pressure ratio P2 upon P1 multiplied by volume ratio V2 dash upon V1. Again we have to change this volume ratio. So second relation, we know that polytropic compression P1 V1 raised to the power n must be equal to P2 V2 dash raised to the power n. So rearrange this. So V2 dash upon V1 raised to the power n is equals to P1 upon P2. If I shift this raised to the power n towards pressure ratio, so it becomes 1 upon n. So V2 dash upon V1 will be equal to P1 upon P2 1 upon n. But here first bracket having a pressure ratio P2 upon P1, delivery pressure upon suction pressure. So we will inverse this. Once we inverse, so our power get a negative sign. So P2 upon P1 will be minus 1 upon n. Now V2 dash upon V1 we will replace by P2 upon P1 raised to the power 1 n. So by using all these things, we are going to replace the T2 upon T1 term. So T2 upon T1 will be P2 upon P1 multiplied by replacing volume ratio. So P2 upon P1 raised to the power 1 by n. So addition of the power, because same terms are there. So finally T2 upon T1 must be equal to P2 upon P1 raised to the power n minus 1 upon n. So when we replace this temperature ratio by pressure ratio, so our net polytropic work done is n upon n minus 1 mRT1 P2 upon P1 raised to the power n minus 1 upon n minus 1. If we know P1 V1, so we can replace mRT1 by P1 V1 also. So this is our net polytropic work done. If we go for isentropic compression, so in polytropic work done, wherever there is a n, polytropic index is n, we have to replace isentropic index gamma. Then our same equation will be the work done for isentropic compression. So let's see isentropic compression work done. If we follow the isentropic compression, then our net work done will be this black shaded area. Again, the same way, isentropic work done will be the area under 0, 1, 3, this black shape. But during calculation, we have to consider area under this curve, area under this vertical rectangle, minus area under this horizontal rectangle. So we get the equation P2 V2 minus P1 V1 upon gamma minus 1, because we are following isentropic compression, plus vertical rectangle P2 V2 minus horizontal rectangle P1 V1. Now LCM, so putting this bottom as a single bracket, so after LCM we get P2 V2 minus P1 V1 plus gamma minus 1 P2 V2 minus P1 V1. Again, from this we will take out this as a common. So 1 plus gamma minus 1. Plus 1 minus 1 get cancelled, and finally we obtain gamma upon gamma minus 1 P2 V2 minus P1 V1. If we know the values in terms of MRT, so we can replace P1 V1 and P2 V2 by MRT terms. Now, in terms of MRT, if I taken out MRT1 as a common, so it will give a ratio of T2 upon T1 minus 1. So we have this equation. Now here we are following a process 1 to 2. For process 1 to 2, general equation is P1 V1 upon T1, P2 V2 upon T2. From this, we have to find out the temperature ratio T2 upon T1. So rearrange the equation. So T2 upon T1 will give pressure ratio P2 upon P1 and volume ratio V2 upon P1. Using second equation relation, that is P1 V1 gamma is equals to P2 V2 raised to the power gamma. From this relation, we can find out V2 upon V1 is equals to P2 upon P1 raised to the power 1 minus gamma. Replacing this, so the temperature ratio T2 upon T1 will be P2 upon T1 gamma minus 1 upon gamma. So replacing this, so our isentropic work done is gamma upon gamma minus 1 mRT1. It can be replaced by P1 V1 in bracket P2 upon P1 gamma minus 1 upon gamma minus 1. So if we replacing MRT1 by P1 V1, so it will be our final equation. So as I said, we have to simply replace n by gamma, so we obtain isentropic work done. So formula wise it is same for polytropic and isentropic. We have to just shift polytropic index to isentropic index. Now we will see some other terms. Isothermal efficiency. Isothermal efficiency is defined as the ratio of isothermal work done to actual work. Now isothermal work done, so we know that isothermal work done is P1 V1 ln of P2 upon P1. And actual work done, so actual work done is possible by only polytropic process. Okay, so we consider here polytropic process as an actual work done. So polytropic work done is n upon n minus 1 P1 V1, and in bracket P2 upon P1 raised to the power n minus 1 upon n minus 1. The indicated power is also called as air power because the indicated power is the power which is inside the cylinder, and that inside cylinder power actually applied to compress the air. So air power also it is called, which is required to drive the compressor. So indicated power can be calculated as W multiplied by N divided by 60,000. How it comes 60,000? So 60,000, that means 60 multiplied by 1,000. W is total net work done on the air. N is number of strokes per minute completed by the compressor. As I said, compressor might be a single acting or double acting. So if compressor is double acting, so small n having a value of 2n because two times it is delivery. If it is a single acting, then small n having a value of n, only once it is delivering the compressor. So n is nothing but a speed of compressor in RPM. So n is in RPM. So convert this n into RPM to RPS. We are divided by 60. Whole thing come in a watt, convert into kilowatt. Again, we divide by 1,000. So it becomes 60,000. So this is indicated power. Now the mechanical efficiency. The mechanical efficiency is defined as the ratio of air power. That means indicated power. As I just said, indicated power is also called as air power. So mechanical efficiency is defined as the ratio of air power to the shaft power. Now here the concept is little bit different than IC engine. In IC engine, what happened? Fuel burn. When fuel burn, so that combustion gas is having a potential to do work. So whatever be the power available on piston to do work is known as IP. So indicated power is here IP. When this indicated power start pushing piston down, that's when there is a movement, friction. So some power is lost in friction, that is the friction power. So indicated power is available inside the cylinder. After movement, some power is lost in friction, so we get a reduce in IP, and whatever be the remaining power is available and shaft, that is brake power. So in IC engine, indicated power is the highest one. After drop to overcome the friction, whatever be the remaining power is a brake power which is available on shaft. But in compressor, it is the reverse process. In compressor, with the help of any electric motor or prime mover, we are supplying power to crankshaft. Then there will be a friction when piston actually start moving. After friction, whatever be the power remains, it is actually utilized to compress the air. That means in compression, power flow will be in this direction. That means brake power. The power supplied at shaft with the help of any electric motor or prime mover is the highest. When we supply this brake power, then some power is lost to overcome friction. Then after whatever be the power remains, that indicated power is actually available to compress the air. So in case of compressor, brake power is highest and indicated power is lesser than brake power. So this is the basic difference in compressor and IC engine. So as per our definition, mechanical efficiency is the ratio of air power or indicated power to the shaft power. Shaft power means brake power. So mechanical efficiency, indicated power divided by brake power. So as I said, in compressor, indicated power is always lesser than brake power. It is also defined as the ratio of polytropic work done to the actual work input. Remember, I am talking about actual work input, where we are giving the input work at this brake shaft, that is shaft power, with the help of any electric motor or prime mover. So this is the actual work we are supplying to the compressor. And polytropic work done, that is the actual compression of air work. So when we are compressing air, so isothermal compression is not possible. Isentropic compression is not possible. So practically possible is a polytropic work. So polytropic compression work. So mechanical efficiency is defined as polytropic work done divided by actual work input. But many times the electric motor in work input or prime mover work input is not given. In that case, what we consider, whatever be the isentropic work done, isentropic is the highest work done required. So isentropic work done is considered as the input to the compressor. So in that case, our definition can be revised as the mechanical efficiency is defined as the ratio of polytropic work done to the isentropic work done. If actual work input is given, then no need to use the isentropic work done formula. If it is not given, then we assume that actual work done input is equals to the isentropic work done. In that case, our formula of mechanical efficiency will be polytropic work done divided by isentropic work. Okay. Now we will see two numericals out of two. This is our first numerical. What to calculate? It is asked to calculate work required for delivering 1 kg of air. And second, actual power required to run the compressor if mechanical efficiency is 88%. And the statement is a single stage, single cylinder compressor deliver air at 6 bar. That means this is the delivery pressure. The rate of air taken in during suction is 12 kg per minute. So mass flow rate during suction is given. That is 12 kg per minute. And pressure, that is suction pressure, is 1.013 bar. We convert into Newton per meter square. This is a basic unit during calculation. And temperature is 27 degrees centigrade. So convert into Kelvin. The compression intake conditions are given: mass flow rate, pressure, and temperature. And it is compressed to 6 bar. So 6 bar will be 6 into 10 raised to the power 5 Newton per meter square. And index is given. Index, compression index is 1.25. And as I said, if compression index is 1, then it is a isothermal process. If it is a 1.4, then it is a isentropic process. But in between 1 and 1.4, then it is a polytropic process. So we come to know that it is a compression by polytropic work. Now the first question, that is work required to deliver 1 kg of air. So remember, even though in actual mass flow rate is 12 kg per minute, but in first it is asked for 1 kg, how much work is required. So here we will consider mass flow rate is 1 kg. Polytropic index is there, so we come to know that from this index it is a polytropic compression. So we can use a net work done by using polytropic formula, compression formula. So n upon n minus 1, P1, P1, in bracket P2 upon P1, n minus 1 upon n minus 1. So it is very easy to remember. Whatever be the starting first term, n upon n minus 1, we have to reverse as the power in pressure ratio. Now, whether we have all these data, P2 is given, P1 is given, P1 is given. What about V? So we don't have a V1. Either find out the V1 value or replace P1 V1 by MR T1. So we are replacing P1 V1 by MR T1. M. So definitely, as it is said, we have to calculate for 1 kg. So M is 1 kg. R is characteristic gas constant. It is 0.287 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. It is a standard value. And temperature T1 is given. It is 27, that is 300 degree Kelvin. Now, very basic question, many time external ask, Why we convert into Kelvin? In many applications, we are using rather than degree centigrade to Kelvin, absolute temperature. Why? So because suppose air is intake at 0 degree centigrade, and if we are taking a temperature as a 0 degree, so anything multiplied by 0 will be 0. So in that case, our calculation will be wrong. So we take a absolute temperature. So 0, even though it is a 0 degree centigrade, but it having a Kelvin some value, 273 value. So it never come as directly 0. So we use it in terms of Kelvin. Now put all the values. We know N value, mass flow rate is 1. Then this is our characteristic gas constant in kilojoule. Then temperature in Kelvin. Pressure ratio. Now pressure ratio is that. So we can put directly 6 upon 1.013 in bars. Then powers, and after calculation we come to know that polytropic work done is 183.94 kilojoule per kg of air. Now the second question is actual power required to run the compressor if mechanical efficiency is 88%. So we have to consider mechanical efficiency to find out the actual power. Actual power means the brake power which is supplied at shaft with the help of any electric motor or prime mover, correct? But here they don't provide any electrical motor or inputs. Indicated power, that is the power which is used actually to compress the air. How much air is taken in? So it is 12 kg per minute. We are converting 12 kg per minute to kg per second, so divided by 60. Polytropic work done required per kg, we just calculated 183.94 kilojoule per kg. So here we have 12 kg per second. So indicated power is 36.788 kilowatt. This is indicated power. Now, using mechanical efficiency. Mechanical efficiency is IP upon Vp. Mechanical efficiency is 88%, indicated power 36.788. So brake power comes 41.805 kilowatt. As I said, in compressor, brake power is higher value and indicated power is the power remains after overcoming the friction. So after friction power loss, what will be the power available to compress air, that is indicated power. So this is our actual power required, that is brake power, where mechanical efficiency is 88%. Now the last numerical for today's video, a single acting, single stage, a reciprocating compressor. So single stage, single acting, reciprocating compressor has entering air at 1 bar. So P1 is 1 bar at 20 degrees centigrade, convert into Kelvin to 93 Kelvin. The compression occurs with polytropic compression index. So N is directly given, it is a polytropic index 1.2. Up to delivery pressure, so delivery pressure is 12 bar. The compressor run at a speed of 240 RPM. So N is given and has L by D ratio, that is stroke length to the diameter ratio is 1.8. The compressor has a mechanical efficiency 88%. And it is asked to determine first isothermal efficiency and cylinder dimension. Cylinder dimension means what is the value of L and what is the value of D. Also find out the rating to drive that compressor. And to run the compressor which admit a 1 meter cube of air per minute, that means it is giving a volume flow rate. If it is a kg per minute, that means mass flow rate. But it is meter cube per minute, that means volume flow rate is given. So at suction B1 is volume flow rate 1 meter cube per minute. So first we will go for isothermal efficiency of the compressor. We know isothermal efficiency required isothermal work done divided by actual work done. So isothermal work done P1 V1 ln of P2 upon P1. Whether we have all these data. So pressure wise P1 V1 we know, and V1 also given, P1 P2 both known, V1 also known. So we will use that. But here this is P1 V1, so we can't put in a bar. We have to convert it to basic unit Newton per meter square. So 1 bar is equals to 1 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per meter square multiplied by V1. V1 is 1 meter cube per minute. So we convert into 1 divided by 60. So it becomes meter cube per second. ln of, as this is a ratio. So whether you put in a bar or you put in a Newton per meter square, ratio will be the same. So here 12 by 1. After calculating, we come to know that first it will give answer in watt because we use all the basic unit. If we convert in kilowatt, then we isothermal work done is 4.14 kilowatt. Now polytropic work done. Polytropic work done, we know this is the formula for polytropic work done. Then use all the given data. So we come to know that polytropic work done is 5.1 kilowatt. Now we will find out the actual work done because isothermal efficiency is nothing but isothermal work done divided by actual work done. How to calculate actual work done? So they provide a mechanical efficiency. Mechanical efficiency is polytropic work done divided by actual work done. So mechanical efficiency 0.88 is equals to 5.1 divided by actual work done. So actual work done will be 5.83 kilowatt. If they provide gamma value, then we will calculate actual work done as a isentropic compression. That time we will use isentropic formula and find out the actual work done. But they don't provide a gamma value; they provide a n value. So we first calculate polytropic work done, then using mechanical efficiency, we rearrange and find out the actual work done. Now, once we know actual work done, so put in a isothermal efficiency formula. So we come to know that isothermal efficiency is 71.01%. Now the second question, finding the cylinder dimensions, that is stroke length and diameter. So stroke length and diameter either come in an area or volume. So we have volume flow rate V1. So volume flow rate is 5 by 4 d square. This is the area, cross-sectional area multiplied by stroke length. So it is a volume. And when we multiply by speed, then it becomes a volume flow rate. So it is a volume flow rate. So V1 is equals to 5 by 4 d square multiplied by L multiplied by N. N we know, D and L, two are the unknowns. So we have to replace one unknown by in terms of second. So L by D is 1.8. So we will replace L by 1.8 D. So here we replace L by 1.8 D. Rearrange this, put the value. So now there is only one unknown, that is a diameter. So we come to know that the diameter is 0.1434 meter. Once the diameter is known, put in L by D ratio. So stroke length will be 0.2581 meter. If it is said that it is a square compressor, that means diameter and stroke length is same. Now the last rating of drive required to run the compressor. So what is the basic rating? Rating is nothing but the actual power requirement. Actual power, that's my actual work done. So rating of drive is nothing but actual power, and we already calculated what is the actual power required, actual work done, that is 5.83. So rating of our compressor is 5.83 kilowatt. Thank you.